Good morning, everybody. It's time for another episode of Morning Song. The song I want to do today is a part of a song called Father and Son by Cat Stevens. Like most of my songs, it's an oldie. It's not time to make a change. Just relax, take it easy. You're still young. That's your fault. There's so much you have to know. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. Look at me. I'm old, but I'm happy. I was once like you are now, and I know that it's not easy to be calm when you found something going on. But take your time, think a lot. Why, think of everything you've got, for you will still be here tomorrow, but your dreams may not. Our scripture passages for this Sunday. I'm going to start with the Old Testament reading, which comes from Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verses 12 to 15. Observe the Sabbath day and keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, or your male or female slave, or your ox or your donkey, or any of your livestock, or the resident alien in your town, so that your male and female slave may rest as well as you. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Now, the gospel lesson comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, verses 23 to chapter 3, verse 6. One Sabbath he was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain. The Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" And he said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry and in need of food? He entered the house of God when Abiathar was high priest and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priest to eat. And he gave some to his companions. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for humankind, and not humankind for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath." Again he entered the synagogue, and a man was there who had a withered hand. They watched him to see whether he would cure him on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. And he said to the man who had the withered hand, "Come forward." Then he said to them, "Is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or to kill?" But they were silent. He looked around at them with anger. He was grieved at their hardness of heart and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He stretched it out, and his hand was restored. The Pharisees went out and immediately conspired with the Herodians against him, how to destroy him. Now, I've only got, well, actually, it's more than 3 questions, but I've only got 3 main areas of questions, 3 main topics of questions today. First, what is your first memory of learning that there are rules for your behavior? When did you find out that rules must be obeyed even if you didn't want to obey them? What were some of the rules you first learned? Next, most of us first become aware of rules as children. I would imagine that last question dredged up a memory from childhood. What are some rules that you are expected to follow now as an adult? Some of them are different. Many of them are not. Do any of these rules seem unfair, not benefiting everyone equally? Third question. Have you ever questioned a rule that seemed unfair? Not just a rule you didn't like, but one that seemed somehow wrong. What seemed wrong about it? Did you challenge the rule? What happened when you did? You know, this is a bit of a, I've preached on this before. I've preached here in Fairfield on this before. And it's an important passage for me, this one from Mark, dealing with this rule of the Sabbath. I've mentioned before that I was never a particularly good follower of the rules. However, rules have always been very important to me. Even when I couldn't bring myself to follow the rules, I understood the need for them, the need for rules. That's I think what I'm going to be talking about this Sunday. We're talking about how rules can sometimes feel wrong. You can take something that is meant for good, and you can weaponize it, turn it into a way of compelling someone's behavior. So give that some thought. Give some thought to these questions, and we'll see where I've landed by Sunday. Okay. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you then on Sunday. Thanks.